through Congress while we around here protesting, we around here on the internet, these people really writing letters and claiming to be us. They trying to get acts passed. They trying to get that federal fund. They want to suck on the government bosom. Where's the reparations? You think you're going to get reparations from a government that was started by war, that was formed from war, where all of the presidents, well, not all of them, I would say about 23% of them enslaved people. They even paid the slave owners reparations in DC in 1960. Was it 3? Before they said everyone is free, DC was one of the first places to say we're not going to enslave the people, but we're going to give reparations to the slave owners. So they paid the reparations to the slave owners back in the 1800s. Did y'all know that? Look up the DC reparation. It's called the DC Emancipation Act. Guys, you think reparations coming? You think this government wanted to give you a reparation? They would have been did that. Your reparations was a little bit of food stamps and the projects. They took you off your sacred land and put you in where? The projects. Your reparations is inequality. That's the reparations. Ain't no reparations coming, guys. And this, what I discovered here, April 16, 1862, they passed the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act. And it freed enslaved people in Washington, D.C. in 1862, right? This was signed by Abraham Lincoln. 1862, it freed 3,100 enslaved people in the capital, the District of Columbia. 31 enslaved people. Y'all got working, building the White House, doing all this stuff. Why y'all ain't get the Native Americans to do shit? They around here with a Fairness Act. Why y'all ain't get them to do shit? Why they never invented nothing? Why they not doing nothing but sitting on the internet talking about, we federal recognized? Yeah, the federal government gave reparations to the slaveholders. The federal government paid loyal Union slaveholders, at this time it was a lot of money, up to $300 per enslaved person that they released. They paid them reparations to release them. Instead of paying the people who've been working on your stolen land, on their own land for free, you paid the slave owners. This is the Lumbee Fairness Act. The Eastern Band estimates the cost of Lumbee recognition. It says the Eastern Band estimates the cost of Lumbee recognition to be in the billions of dollars. According to this bill, will have a huge negative impact on the budgets of the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Indian Health Services, and would decrease even further the sorely needed funds Indian people receive as a result of treaties and trust obligations of the United States to Indians and tribes. The committee in Congress should not support this legislation for emotional or political reasons, particularly without being absolutely certain that this group constitutes a recognizable Indian tribe in accordance with the objective criteria of the OFA, which it cannot. It says if this committee and Congress choose to pass this legislation, the consequences will be dramatic for existing federal recognized tribes. Say what now? First and foremost, politics will have won and decided victory over sound policy. When they was writing policy, we was enslaved. They was writing policy for us because they was at war, right? The War Department became the Indian Department. The War Department became the Department of the Interior. The War Department was the government, how it started. Look up the War Department. So they erased the War Department and made it the Department of Defense. So when you see Trump putting all this millions and billions into the Department of Defense, it's really the War Department. It's to prevent people from rebelling. It's just to show you that the Lumbee tribe feel like they put in a Lumbee Fairness Act that said that they the Indians and they not getting recognized. And then the government said, well, if we recognize you, it's going to fuck it up for the other pretendians who getting paid from us. Because we don't have enough even for them. Because we don't have enough melanated people going to work and paying taxes. We don't have enough people paying taxes to pay these Indians. So we sitting here working on our own land, paying taxes to pretendians who the government can't afford to pay. But we going to work every day while they getting benefits. And I'm going to tell you the benefits because this is what got me pissed off even more. It said policy will have won. My name is Ben Barnes, Chief of the Shawnee Tribe and Chair of the United Indians Nation of Oklahoma. serving the 38 federal recognized tribes in Oklahoma. I also serve on the chair of the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition. It said, let me begin with a truth that our elders teach us. Sovereignty is the inheritance of tribal survival, not the reward for claiming it. Our nations exist because our ancestors endured forced removal, warfare, termination policies, and boarding school systems. It said federal recognition does not make a tribe. It acknowledges the people who never cease to exist. Y'all lying, man. Y'all lying, bro. When the United States forced my people from Ohio through Kentucky and Missouri to Kansas and finally to Oklahoma, we did not reinvent ourselves at each river we came to. We remained Shawnee. We carried our ceremonies. We kept our language alive in whispers. The government lived in the hearts of the people, even when the United States wished it was vanished. Y'all wish it was vanished, but not because of y'all. They wish it were vanished because they don't want this melanated millions of people to realize they're the true Indians and the whole world owed us. The whole world has ate off our fucking back, right? He said, nationhood is not a label to be chosen, but an identity carried through generations of removal, loss, and resistance. It says, the research did not attempt to define who the Lumbee tribe are. It asked a simple question. Can the Lumbee tribe's tribal claim be verified by historical and genealogical evidence? The resounding answer was no, is what they said. The expert found no demonstrated descent from a historical tribe nation, no continuous tribal government before the mid-20th century, no ancestral indigenous language community, and census records showing ancestors identified as free person under British and American law, but never as a tribal policy. The findings do not come from emotion or politics. They come from archive, documents, and history. Now I must speak from a sacred place, the place where grief and memory live in our communities. Really? Really? Grief, and that still live in our communities. We still being hunted by the slave raiders and the slave patrols, aka the police, aka the state patrol, aka whoever you want to rename them to, right? Because the War Department became the Department of the Interior. The War Department became the Defense Department, and that turned into the Army, the military, and all the other departments. But it all started with the War Department. This government started in 1789. The War Department started 1789. The census record started 1790. It said the Lumbee have invoked boarding school history to claim indigeneity. But the record tells another story. 9 individuals now held up in Lumbee narratives attempted to enroll at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. Carlisle rejected them because they did not meet federal definition of an Indian. And what they're telling the Lumbee tribe. In this paper just last year now. But you got to realize they're telling them this for 2 reasons. Because number one, they can't afford to put no more federal tribes because it's not enough of us working to pay these people, get them all their benefits that they're getting for us going to work, right? And number 2, they not really Indians, and they know that. So they like, listen, man, go sit down. They said Congress has been egregiously misled regarding the cost of Lumbee recognition. The most recent cost estimate prepared by the Congressional Budget Office, I guess that's the CBO, the estimate cost of HR 2758, $116 million, or 28% lower than the estimated Bureau of Indian Affairs cost previously prepared, which was $160 million. So they're talking about millions of dollars that they would have to pay these people because they went through war. Then we go through war because they went through being forced to go to school. That's the same thing. We was forced to go to school. We didn't go to school before, like, not to their school. So tribal sovereignty is formally acknowledged when your tribe is treated as a self-governing political entity with inherent powers over internal affairs, memberships, all of that. It said if you are federal recognized, this means you have a direct government-to-government relationship with the United States. Meaning your tribal government deals directly with the federal agencies and can negotiate compacts, consultations, and agreements. And it says eligibility to be listed on federal recognized tribe lists, which is a gateway status for most tribe-supported programs and protections. It said when you become a federal government recognized tribe, which is why the Lumbee tribe wanted to be federal recognized, they said we want to take advantage of the tax breaks. We want to have all the money. We want to have some land. We want to be giving all this stuff for free. So then it says when you become federal recognized, you get land, trust status, and jurisdiction. The federal government, through the Interior, remember that the War Department was, the War Department, which is how the government really formed, they are a war government, it was changed to the Department of the Interior and the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So they went to war, stole the land, and they said, hey, we need the Department of the Interior so they can start to control the Indians without it being, showing that it was all from war, or them unaliving us with slave codes and all of this. Where are the Native American codes? Where y'all at? Y'all never showing up for war, but you showing up for benefits? It says the federal government, through the Interior, Department of Interior, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, can take land into trust for your tribe. Creating or expanding a reservation or land trust base, trust land usually has special tax and regulatory statuses. So when you become federally recognized, they take land that they stole and put it in a trust for the tribe. So you don't even own the land. You just suck it on the government nipple. The tribal government gains stronger authority over land use, natural resources, and environmental regulations on tribal lands, often alongside and instead of state authority in some areas. It says the U.S. has legal obligations to protect tribal lands, assets, and certain rights, and to manage resources for the tribe's benefit. So you mean to tell me the government is still managing your resources? They're still managing your land. They're still telling you what to do. Okay? You're not sovereign if the government telling you what the fuck to do. Okay? Then it go into say they get eligibility for Bureau of Indian Affairs funding and services. So this is why the Lumbee tribe say, hey, we want to be treated fair, right? Because y'all ain't giving us the money for unaliving our so-called people and us going to the war. Seminole War, y'all know who live in the Seminole area in Tallahassee. That area was 99.9% melanated people, and it still is mostly melanated people. So where the Native Americans at? Y'all wasn't in the Seminole War, but y'all getting the Seminole War money. Talking about y'all was at war. Where? I thought you was at the Indian school in the 1900s. This war was in the 1800s. Where the fuck was y'all at? Okay. Where was you? Or was you fighting us? Because it wasn't you. You see what I'm saying? Lying, acting like your people was dying when it wasn't even you. They get all kind of benefits. Eligibility for Bureau of Indian Affairs funding and services that support tribal government operations. They get money for law enforcement. They don't even be under this law. With these people out here policing us and putting us in prison, they get money for courts, social services, natural resources, and much more. They get access to all the health care. They get access to Indian health services and related federal health programs, which can fund clinics, hospitals, behavioral health, public health, and initiatives for tribal members. Meanwhile, they trying to give us only 2 dental schools. They don't want to give us nothing. You wonder why? Because they're giving it all to these pretendians. These pretendians milking the government dry. It said they get economic and regulatory opportunities. Y'all always wonder what federal benefits they get. I'm still going down the list. The list is long, bro. The list is long, bro. It's embarrassing, bro. It's embarrassing, man. This shit made me cry because I'm indigenous, but I got to pay $500,000 just to be a doctor. Meanwhile, these people get to go to school for free. They get to go to work for free. Meanwhile, my ancestors got the records, but they banned the records. Stronger legal footing for tribal enterprises, tourism, agriculture, energy, access to business-oriented tribal grants and loans. I got a whole business. I ain't getting no grants, no loans. I'm a whole dentist. Got to pay loans. Got to do all of this. Got to go through fucking bullshit just to get to this part. Just to be hood to hooded. I got a claim hood to hooded. But they just walk up and, hey, government, you owe us because we kept your secret. That's why they can't pay millions of us. Are you crazy? They already said 60,000 Lumbee gonna break them. That's gonna take away from the people who already getting this government funding. We can't even do that because it's gonna take away from the people who already we all paying. In some cases, recognition is a prerequisite to exercise certain gaming and regulatory powers under federal law, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. Depending on state law and federal approvals, they get ability to form tribal corporations and cooperatives under federal and tribal law to manage resources and enterprises for the collective benefit of tribal members. They get increased access to tribal specific health education, housing, social services that flow from federal funding. Your taxes, taxes getting high, this getting high. They trying to pay these tribes, boy. These people don't have to do nothing. They didn't have to go to fight. They didn't have to do nothing but say they went to the Carlisle Indian School. What? They get social services that flow directly from the federal funding to the tribe or directly to the members or on or near their tribal lands. What else do they get? They get individual tribal member benefits. Now check this out. increase access. So you getting denied access. They taking people off of housing. They kicking you off. They making all these time limits. They don't do that for these Native Americans. They don't do that for these Pretendians. They don't give them no time limit. They just let them get the money forever. If you federal recognized, which they not recognizing no more federal people right now because they can't afford it to. It would bankrupt them. They already bankrupt in the spirit. They can't afford it, so they gotta be evil. That's the only way they can ever win. That's how they started. Is how it ends. Is with war. The war never ended. The names just changed, guys. The United States government first government name was War Department. It should tell you. Who was they at war and unaliving and making all the codes for and doing all this for? Researching with the census? Us. Who? It wasn't the Native Americans, was it? None of the evidence show that. All of the evidence show us. What else were they getting? They get continued eligibility just like any other. It said just like any U.S. citizen, they get regular and federal state programs for SNAP, SI, LHEAP, etc. With some programs have provisions and set asides for specifically for Native Americans. It said they get stronger legal protection for cultural, religious, and treaty-based rights, which includes protection for sacred sites, access to resources, recognition of tribal citizenship, and status in the federal law. Now, all of that was the benefits. So they getting hella money. You probably get 300 food stamps. They probably get 10,000. They getting hella money. They getting housing. They getting all of this stuff. They getting everything. Now, my question is, why would the War Department turn around and give y'all all of this when they actually setting rules and slave codes and locking people up? And if y'all the real people, when did that happen? When did this happen? And when I thought about it, I said, you guys, I'm so happy my ancestors didn't sell us out, because what I read was that the ancestors, guys, the ancestors was way ahead of their time. Because we the one invented the phone, the internet, all of this shit that you use, the GPS, we did this shit. The Native Americans didn't do shit. You been here for, if y'all been here so damn long, why y'all only could come up with a teepee? You didn't do no pyramids. You didn't do no mounds. You just did a teepee? Fuck out of here, man. You gonna never be on our level, bro. Never, ever. And the last thing I'm gonna say, y'all see me sitting here is this dentist, big Chieftess, Doc Chieftess Sunflower. This shit wasn't easy. Ain't getting no fucking government handout. None of it. All came from just the brain. And Frederick Douglass, when he was born into enslavement, and he was on that plantation, and he learned his alphabet at 12 years old, when he learned that knowledge makes you unfit to be a slave, this knowledge that we getting make you unfit to be a motherfucking slave. Fuck.
Just got a bed and a cake, blow the candles out, feeling like LeBron James.